There's a lot of things in life that people are like, oh, that's easy. Do it.
Right, exactly.
Do it.
Right. Sure it is.
Do it.
Right.
Sure it
Yeah.
is.
Very few things are actually easy.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. When you were
princess.
younger, did you ever fuck with people? Like,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
change clothes or take each other's classes? Like,
Yeah.
you do.
April Fool's Day, we switched schools. You know,
Word?
you went to an art high school, I went to a writing high school.
For real?
Yeah, yeah. So
And
I went to his
no
school.
one knew?
We each had one person who we could. I think generational pain is the behaviors that you carry on based on the pain that was passed down to you, right? Because I don't, and that's how I think it makes sense, right? Like, because I don't necessarily believe in like the genetic memory thing, not necessarily. But again, like if you're broken in a certain way, that's all you know to pass on, right? You may not even know that's a broken thing. But like, you know, I'm the same guy, like I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender in real time. I was a grown-ass man when that cartoon came out, you know? But I'm tuning into Nickelodeon every week to watch that because it was really fucking good.
Ago, it's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah,
We got Derek Hall in the crib. What's up,
Chilling, man.
man?
AB.
Yo, thank you for coming over, man.
My pleasure, man.
How was
Absolute
your
pleasure.
How was your journey over here?
It was good. It was good. I got to buy some comic books, which I haven't done in a while.
Oh, you went to
So
the
I was really
spot right
excited.
here?
Yeah,
Oh!
Yeah.
Yo, it's the only spot in Queens, apparently. The only Marvel spot.
It's there used to be more. There used to be a lot more. In fact, there was another comic book shop a few blocks away, but a lot of them closed. It's hard to keep them open. But,
What are you into?
Marvel, so like Daredevil, X-Men. Those are the biggest ones. Spider-Man.
Oh, wow.
But I read some independent stuff too. A little everything.
So you've always been into writing in a way, because that's writing
Yes.
too. That's different. That's just
Absolutely,
That's
yeah.
like
It's visual. People think
Yeah.
of it as visual, but the story has to work.
Yeah.
So I was always more interested in the actual story, right? Like some people will like read through a comic as if, you know, they're just looking at the pictures. But you have to really appreciate the story, right? So like I wanted to write comics when I was younger. That was the kind of storytelling I really appreciated the most because it had that visual aspect. But, you know, people talk more than real people do. And you also had the narration. So it was very much gave you a real story, but then there was a lot of interaction as well. And then people got their ass kicked too. You know? So
And it
had
makes
a
it
lot of
fun to
stuff.
see.
Yeah, exactly.
like the
Very stimulating.
the illustrations are
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
So what got you? Would you say comic books is what got you into writing? Low key.
Yeah, because like
Low
my,
key, like-
yeah, because like I got I tell this story not all the time, but pretty often. Like my mom used to read to us on the train. So like we grew up in Jamaica, Queens, and we went to school in Manhattan. So my
Wow.
mom would take us on the train
Wow.
to school. My
Your
brother
mom
and
is
I.
the champ.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Your mom is
It
the
was
champ
absolutely
for
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
What?
And she'd be
She's
reading
like,
to
nah,
us.
you're not gonna be around here.
Yeah, exactly.
We taking you the fuck out of
Yeah.
here. And we're gonna
With the Catholic school
Oh.
in Manhattan. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So she put in the work.
She did put in the
Yeah.
work.
And so she would read to us to pacify us. And this dude one time just came up, he says, I see you on this train, to her, reading to these boys every single day.
Right.
And he just gave us some comic books. He says they
That's
might
what's up.
appreciate these.
That's what's
and
up.
so I've been reading them for a very long time. But yeah, so that's a pretty good introduction to something.
How was it life like going to Catholic school? Like,
It was very young. I didn't go for very long. So my family moved back and forth. So we actually...
Oh, you were saying, yeah, you
it was
moved around a lot.
Yeah, it was just a year. So I'm originally from D.C. So we came up here, we're here for the year, and went back to D.C. And then came back again a couple years later.
Okay.
So that wasn't a very long
did
period.
you always go to different schools?
Yeah. I mean, we moved like probably every 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So it would be like, we live here for elementary school. We live here for junior high school. We live here for high school.
But it's cool though, right? Because you're,
It's
you're, the, you're
interesting.
the new kid.
Exactly.
You're
And-
like, all the
But
girls
you move
are like,
around,
who's this
right?
kid?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
There's expected to be new kids,
Right,
you
right.
know. So you're never like there's come like once or twice. You're really the new kid,
Right.
But it was good too because like whenever we were in New York, we lived in Queens, so we moved all over Queens. So people always ask where you're from. I'm like, I'm from Queens. I'm from this neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
like I could really feel an ownership
Right.
with this part of the world.
That is something about New York, right? It's the first question everybody asks.
Yeah, because most
Where you
people
from?
expect to be from one neighborhood. You know, most of the time, you just grew up in one place.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which is,
it's
I
kinda
feel like
interesting.
it's low key a funny question to ask people in Queens, considering that we're all from different places
Exactly.
around the world.
This is the world's borough
Like, yeah,
for
it's
a
the world's
reason, right?
borough.
Yeah. It's much more of a loaded question.
It is a
here
loaded
than
question.
anywhere else. you know?
That's so true.
And I love that. That's one of
Yeah.
the things I love about it. Because, like,
That's
again,
so true. That is
yeah.
so true. Because if someone's from Brooklyn, they're proud to say it.
Exactly. I'm from
Like,
this
yeah, I'm
spot,
from
this is my
Brooklyn.
block. Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
like-
I never been anywhere else. I don't know anybody who's been from anywhere else.
Yeah, right.
You know, so, which is fine. But like in DC back in the day, everybody was black or white. So everybody I'd seen looked one of two ways. And then we moved to Queens. First person I met was Indian. My best friend in elementary school was Chinese. You know, Italian kids and stuff like that. And so this girl from Iceland.
Oh,
My,
wow.
my first girlfriend was from Iceland.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was cold, I bet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she was great. She was absolutely awesome.
Oh, shit.
She made a hip hop song.
Word?
Yeah. So when on her 40th birthday, she went back to Iceland.
Okay.
On her 40th birthday, she released a hip hop song that actually charted. And it was a big story about how she did that.
That's
you know?
amazing.
Yeah.
What?
And she lived in Queens.
What?
So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's crazy, the type of stuff.
But that's what happens too. That in terms of what we were talking about. Sometimes in New York, you might not bubble off. You go somewhere else. Oh my God, you're amazing.
Exactly.
Like, what
That's the
fuck?
thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about New York. It's hard to stand out. Like
New
we were
York
talking
makes
about.
you tough, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes your fucking skin like leather.
It has to, right? Exactly,
Yeah.
because you're not going to make it otherwise. And if you don't have that, you're just not going to be able to weather whatever storms come.
I
and
love
everything.
it, to be honest.
It's better. It's
I
definitely
love
better,
it. I love it because you get such a raw approach, and you see people's work in a stretch of
Right.
time.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's not challenging either. It doesn't feel personal. It's just the way the city is. It's
Exactly.
just unforgiving.
Exactly. You get it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Nature is very unforgiving.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's ruthless.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, right. You know, that's the thing, right? Just feast or famine. You're either going to survive or you're not. You know, and that's what New York really is to people. That's why, they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. That's literally true.
It's so true.
Yeah.
You take that mentality anywhere. Some people also, and I get it too, like they want to move and just relax. They don't
Yeah.
want to do all that. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
no.
and that's cool too. Cause
Right. It's also not earning it though.
what do you mean?
I feel like you have to struggle for something, right? Because like if something's handed to you, how can you appreciate it?
So true.
So if it's easy for you, you're almost, I think, gonna have the wrong perception of it too, right? Like I think children think that way. Not to belittle anybody else, right? Like kids, you if you're a child and you see something, you think it's easy because you saw somebody do it. You don't understand the work that goes into it. And if you
That's a really good example. I was at the barbershop.
Yeah.
And this kid was getting a cut from my homie Cuzzavelli. Shout out Cuzzavelli. He was asking his dad. He was like, and I'm chopping it up with his dad.
Right.
And
Of course.
Yeah. I'm chopping it up with his dad. And then the kid just, I don't know, he's like, hey, like, why don't you cut my hair? To the dad.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right, yeah.
And then I responded for him. I was like, yo, it's not that easy.
exactly, right? That's not how this goes, But that's what it is. That's what it is, right?
It's
They
so
don't understand.
true,
yeah.
yo. It's so true. Cause like, there's a lot of things in life that people are like, oh, that's easy. Do it.
Right, exactly.
Do it.
Right. Sure it is.
Do
Right.
it. Sure it
Yeah.
is.
Very
Yeah.
few things are actually easy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But you have to go through the process.
Yeah,
You
and
have
that's
to go
just what
through
it
the
is.
process.
Because you learn, you get better at something. That's a process. Getting better at something, I think, makes you better at life also. Because you should learn from what you're doing.
Right.
If you're going to get good at it, you will. Right.
What have you learned through writing?
Perspective. Perspective is very important, right? Because when you're a writer, you create everything. All the characters are, depending on the writer, they'll say they're all some version of you or someone you know, but you have to be able to understand how your characters think in order for them to actually feel real to the people that are reading it, right? They can't all be like 5 people having a conversation, saying the same thing, sounding the same way.
Right.
So you have to be able to understand what different people sound like, what different experiences could do to a person based on what their mentality might have been before that. So you really do have to understand perspective.
How do you choose conflict within your writing?
What I do is I write myself into a wall, into a corner, right? So like I'll script to a certain point. So I know that I'm going to get here. So I'm there with my character, right? So whatever he needs to do to get out of it, I got to come up with that. So at that point, it's very real, to me at least, right? Because It isn't, things don't happen because they need to. You know, it happens because that's what's available. That's what can happen in a situation, right? Now, there's this concept called Deus ex machina. It's Latin for God in the machine.
Say that again?
Deus ex machina, God in the machine. The idea that it happens because it has to. There's no other thing that could happen. But if you get yourself to a certain point and you're in a real situation, it's like, okay, what's here? This guy's here. These are the circumstances. These are the people involved. This is the location I put this guy in. How's he going to get out? The only thing that can happen is what's available to him. You know, you can't suddenly have something else that comes in. It's got to be natural to the situation.
You as a writer, do you feel that life is scripted?
No way. It's not possible. Because every person you meet is a person you couldn't have created. Like, there's no stereotypes in life. Like, people, like, you think, oh, the jock, the cheerleader, whatever. They don't exist, right? That person who you think of as the jock is way more complicated than you actually know. So no, it couldn't be scripted.
So you don't fall under the simulation theory?
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I've heard it before, but like, it doesn't make sense to me because there's just way too many variables in life, right? And the sophisticated computer system that it would take to create that. Now, granted, if that were the case for us, it's way beyond where we are, right? We'd be living in a past world and it would be a future scenario, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. But
I like the idea of it, but you know, it doesn't make sense to me.
What are your thoughts on today's climates?
Well, as a New Yorker,
Yeah.
and I was just having this conversation the other day. It snowed, right? We got snow, and they closed school, and that was ridiculous to me. We got like an inch,
Yeah, it wasn't
2 inches
that
maybe.
bad.
Yeah,
And it's funny because they reported it the day before.
yeah, exactly. Which is good, you know, right? They closed schools before we even got any snow, and that was something that, again, as a kid, I remember as of one of my first New York moments. Because in D.C. it doesn't snow, it just doesn't.
Really?
It's DC's relatively southern, right? And so the weather is always a little bit warmer than what it is here. So if it did happen to snow, they would definitely shut down the city, shut down schools, and all that. So I remember it snowed. Must have been like 3rd grade, and I was like, oh well, we're not going to school today. And I was like, oh, we're going to school today, but it's snowing. Doesn't matter. You go to school. Right. You know, here we get snow, and you got to deal with it, and that's perfectly fine. Nowadays, we haven't gotten snow in so long. It's like we don't know how to deal with it. You know, like just think about it snowed like what, twice this year? It was like a snowmageddon before, you know, like anytime it's going to snow, we act like it's a big deal. There was a time not that long ago when it snowed pretty regularly every year.
That's true. And
so I'm worried. I don't like it.
And we used to get money shoveling.
Yeah, exactly. That was a job opportunity, right? Either you were forced to do it and it built character, or you got it and you made money doing it. Yeah. One way or the other. But,
as little kids, I remember we used to go from like door to door.
Yeah,
asking,
with the shovel. Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, you want your shovel?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's it. Yeah. And that's something that you learn. Now we don't have that. We take that away.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
So that is something that we're experiencing now that I guess is different.
Yeah, and I really, it's terrifying when you think about it, right? Like, you take a situation where we have 4 seasons in New York State, New York City, or whatever. It snows in winter. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. Now it's not normal, and it hasn't been that long. So it's problematic for me, and it shows most in winter when you have like warm days in winter. That doesn't feel right.
Damn, and you having kids is also probably like, what does that make you think like of the future? And like I know that probably like builds a concern in your life.
It does. The one thing that I'm most impressed by, though, having kids is they don't seem concerned. Well, they do seem concerned. That's the important thing. They seem concerned, and they don't want to have a world that doesn't make sense. So my daughter's 15 now. Wow, it's crazy. My daughter's 15, and she's exactly.
It's a testament of your time too, right? Like
exactly. There was very much a time when I couldn't even imagine the idea of having kids. Now I got teenagers, but kids are less tolerant in a good way, right? They don't just accept, okay, that's just the way it is. It's like, no, we can actually do something about it. So that climate change is an issue. So we don't just sit back and wait for somebody to go about. We go to a rally, we go and support the people that'll make the changes. And, we make sure that it's something that we think of. That's how they think about things. They're not like, well, we just got to wait till we're adults. No, they actually do believe they can make change. Wow. And that's impressive. So I don't worry about them too much. This next generation is very proactive. You know, like my generation, not very proactive. You know, we were sedated by like cartoons and movies, and like everybody from my generation, what we do is we quote movies. You know, we love to think about how we grew up. It was just such a comfortable life growing up. So it didn't take away the ambition from the generation, but it did make you, I think, probably a little less ambitious. You know, obviously people my age have done great things, but it's also in the framework of the society we grew up in, right? Like when I was a kid in the 80s, you know, like the cartoons, people don't even think about it. The cartoons were made by the toy companies. So like if you're watching, like, so we had like He-Man, the Transformers, and G.I. Joe. All of those cartoons only existed because the toy companies wanted to sell the toys. So it was like, all right, we'll create a cartoon so the kids will watch the cartoon and then go buy the toys. Exactly. So like that's the world. That was the world to us. Exactly. We were bred to be consumers. Yeah. You know, but also like the quality of the stuff was pretty good. That's why we kind of took to it. Also, like our heroes were fictional.
It's an interesting choice of words that you said. Bred to be consumers.
Absolutely.
Is that something that's good, you feel?
If you're in a society like ours, yeah. I mean, this is what our society is built around: consumption. You know, we have a capitalist society. If you don't have consumers, you don't have anything. Yeah. Right. So is it important? Yeah. Is it good? Probably not. You know, I appreciate that they made quality cartoons for us, but what if they didn't? You know, what would it have done to us if they didn't actually hire talented people to make those things? What could that have done to us? You know?
And it's not to say this is bad or good, right?
It is what it is. You know, again, in my perspective, right? Like, I can't help the situation that I grew up in at that time. Like, you know, it's funny, I think about this. We used to watch a show called The Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
And The Dukes of Hazzard was about these two cousins that drove this, like, souped up sports car. Yeah, exactly. Now, the car was orange, and it had the Confederate flag on it. This was a show on TV since the 70s, right? It was on. 70s and the 80s. And I had a toy of the car. The car's called the General Lee, named after a Confederate general. You don't know these things when you're watching it. Yeah, you find out later. And I don't look back. I don't judge my mother. It's like, why did she buy me a car with the Confederate flag on it? You know, it is what it is, right? People were thicker skinned. Right, exactly, right, yeah. It's like, you asked for it. You know? So people had thicker skin too, right? Even now. Nowadays, like, oh, you can't see that. It's automatically a bad thing. And it is a bad thing. But did it hurt me that I had the General Lee toy with the flag? No. Did I learn what it meant later? Yeah. Is it abhorrent? Probably. But that situation wasn't something that hurt me as a person on my development.
I think it's also something that's, I don't know, like America is supposed to be like this free place, right?
Yeah.
So selling a toy that's like that, it should just be a funny thing.
It should,
a satirical
exactly.
thing. It should just be like like we take funny situations that happen around the world and we fucking laugh at it, or we make jokes at it, and we're just
New
like,
Yorkers
this
in
is not that
particular.
serious. Yeah, definitely. I got this part in my podcast, right, where I ask, is there any question that you ever wanted to ask a specific person, types of people, age group, gender, blah, 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 you know, like specific group.
Right.
Has there ever been a certain type of question? And I'm going to take that question and I'm going to go ask a person out in society.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I consider myself pretty curious. I usually ask if I have a question, but I don't think of people as representatives for a group either. You know?
Okay.
So like, it's funny too, because as a black person, I'm expected to, you know, speak for black people.
I see what you're saying.
It's like, well, how do black people feel? You know? When you're in the meetings, you know, like how does it go down? You know, that's not the way it is.
That's funny. I feel that way about being Spanish too sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like growing up, I was never Spanish enough for the Spanish people.
Same thing, yeah, exactly.
I'm not black, I'm not white.
Yeah,
like,
right, exactly.
Like,
just right here.
Yeah,
that's it.
But then at the same time, it's like, why can't that in itself be a representation of just human? You know
exactly,
like,
right. You're a person. You have your own background. That goes to what I was saying before, right?
But we also live in reality.
It's true.
And people do take place and hold in these specific groups, and they're prideful in it too. Like, and there's nothing wrong to be prideful in it.
Exactly.
So it's like, for that,
Yeah.
would there be any type of question? Do you have?
It's
for
interesting,
any-
yeah, because I Google everything. So if I do have a question,
I Google everything.
I really do.
So-
It's just crazy, yeah. So like when I have questions, because I told you before, right? Like perspective is really important to me.
But how do you Google?
My Google foo is very strong.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you use when you Google?
Keywords, right? So
Do
you
you
have
use
to be able-
Google Advanced Search?
No, I just use regular Google because, like, again, I've been using it for a while, so I don't
Okay.
think of using extra tools.
Okay.
But yeah, just in general, just get to the heart of what your question is. Like, I hear people like ask direct questions of Google, and I'm like, that's not what it's for. You know, I want a broad search, right? So
Okay.
I want to get things that are related, but I'll be able to get a different perspective, right? Like, you know, just like for example, going back to what we were talking about representing a culture, right? Like growing up in D.C., I was a Redskins fan, you know, football. I have a lot of memories watching the Washington Redskins play in the Super Bowl even, you know, when I was young. And you could ask some Native Americans what they think about the term, and some would say, we love it. You know, we appreciate the respect for our culture because, you know, the Redskins mascot was very, not even mascot, the logo, was very, I thought, very respectful, right? Very noble looking figure.
Okay,
That's
I see
always
what
the way
you're
I saw
saying.
it, right? And there are people that will say it's disgusting, that name is racist, and both are right. You know, both of them are absolutely right. But neither one of them fully represents, you know, everyone who's a Native American. You know, so
I see what you're saying.
that's why there's always going to be perspectives on things. And so I like to understand the nuance of the conversation, right? Like, okay, you say this because why? And you
Okay.
say that because why?
So
and that I find
so
fascinating.
then you should what I think you should do if
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
with this is find a question that would be related to humans. And I
okay.
guess I could ask anyone
Yeah.
this question then.
Okay,
And it
yeah,
makes it
yeah.
easier for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to look for a specific.
Exactly, right. Then you can ask anybody.
Because
Yeah.
I had someone ask me that I need to find, and it's cool. I'm gonna find the person, but it's
Right.
just like it's been a little challenging. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I have to find like a person who's 65 or older
Oh, wow.
and ask them like, what are 3 regrets you have in your life?
Oh, that's awesome, though. You're going to have a very, very good conversation with that one. You know what's funny, I guess, then, for me, then, the people that I find it hard to understand are people who don't love something, right? Like bandwagon jumpers, right? Like, you know, I support a team, even if it's the regional team, it's because they're the team that represents where I live or
I see what you're
whatever. Why is it you don't love something enough to dive into it instead of just saying, like my son, right? Like my son is 10 years old.
Okay.
And he doesn't love the Giants like I do. He likes football. He'll watch it.
Okay.
You know, this year he likes the Chiefs last year he liked the Chiefs because he liked Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Now it's like, no, I don't like the Chiefs anymore.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, pick something. Like, make it. People that are non-committal. I
Okay.
can't understand people that are non-committal.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm a very
Okay.
passionate person.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
I want, if this is it, I'm diving into it.
All right.
The idea of doing everything on the surface.
Okay.
I don't
So all
understand
right,
that, yeah.
the question would be why
Why don't you dive in?
don't you dive in?
Yeah.
And to people who aren't committed onto certain
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Right. Like, how do you find, or better yet, is there something you're committed to, or do you just hop on the bandwagon for everything? You know,
That's
that
a
would
challenge.
be, yeah.
That's a challenging. I'm gonna have
Because you
to
can't
ask
find that person.
Nah,
right? Yeah.
usually young people.
Yeah,
Usually,
probably- yeah,
you
that's
know what I
true,
mean?
that's
but it's
true,
just
yeah.
like also at the same time, not always,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There's some people that just can't
And then
find a way.
and
yeah.
then also, usually if they're not kids and they are already older, it's gonna be tougher for me to see if they're gonna even want to be upfront with themselves.
Right,
in
yeah,
that type
there
of
you go.
situation.
Right, that
So
person's
it's like-
always been closed
Yeah,
off.
so I'm gonna
Right,
have to
yeah,
ask
yeah.
a young person.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right, though. Yeah, but I think you could do that. You could do that.
Or
yeah.
I don't know, maybe. Let's see how that works.
That's fascinating.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that turns out.
I'm gonna clip it in
yeah.
right now. So, is there anything that you're not committed to, and why is it that you don't just dive into it?
I would say, not that I'm not committed to it, I haven't committed to it. Is that still the same question?
Sure, you haven't committed. All right, so then why not?
so-
Why don't you just dive into it?
So, finding a new job.
Okay.
I haven't committed to it because right now, the industry that I'm in, it's hard to find a new job in the time frame that we're in. So, it's been challenging, but I know if I were to dive into it, I could find something that's more related to a passion.
There you go. Right. That's awesome. I think that's cool that you do that though, because that you're going to learn a lot, and you're definitely going to learn perspective, right? You're asking different people questions about things that,
They wouldn't have been asked. Anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And you didn't come up with, right? It's somebody else's question, right?
It's true.
But you get the benefit from the knowledge of the answer.
Yeah, well, I think this whole podcast is like that.
Yeah.
Because I get to experience, and the people that watch this podcast get to experience different types of reality.
Exactly.
So it's not like people have to be so caught up in like, oh, okay, I have to view the world or see the world in this way.
And that's where we're getting nowadays, too. It's like everybody lives in a bubble.
Right.
I only want the information that satisfies what I already think.
Right.
It stifles learning. It stifles understanding. It stifles growth.
It does. And at the end of it all, what does it do to society?
Right, exactly. What does it really do? Yeah. It just makes you feel more comfortable. And now you have people that are comfortable not talking to other people. You can't have an honest conversation.
No.
Because you're going to get mad. You're going to get,
fired.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You're going to get fired. That's
Exactly,
what it is, yo.
yeah,
that's what everyone's scared of. That's just what it is. You're just going to get fired.
And that's a livelihood, so
Yeah.
it actually is going to impact people's life, So that part is kind of scares me, like what the world is going to be like.
Oh, yeah.
for
For
the
me,
next
like,
generation,
every job that I've entered in my life,
Yeah.
I love and respect the fact that I have that job.
Right.
But
At
if
that
I'm-
time.
Yeah, but if I'm being honest with myself, it's like also, I know that I'm dialing it back every place.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
I know I'm dialing
There's
it
a
back.
point, right? Of course,
Yeah, because it's like it's what it has to be.
Well, that's the thing, right? When you have a job and not a career, or something, it's not something you love. There's only so much you can give yourself.
Right.
To it. Yeah.
And I think that's also, I don't know, I think it would be cool, you tell me, wouldn't it be cool if school was, instead of going to school and having classes and da-da-da-da,
Right.
it was trying different jobs?
That should be something that we do anyway, right? Like me personally, I like school. I was that kid. Like I wasn't the kid that said you didn't give us homework, but I like school. Like there was a point during the summer where like, when do we get back to class? I like learning, right?
Okay.
So that was the place where I could learn. So I think there's value in having a foundation, having an understanding of basic things.
Right.
But then having like we have vocational schools now, so many more ways you can go to high school. If you know what you want to do already, you can go pursue that. But if you don't, you kind of stuck. So I agree with that.
What I mean also by it is, okay, it's good that you're right. We need a foundation.
Yeah.
But, like, kids are going to be the working force of the future.
Period, right, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be amazing, I don't know, maybe to have groups set up that maybe once or twice a year,
Right.
you get to experience
There should be programs where you can
like,
do that.
where you
I agree
see,
with that.
Where you see what it is to live this life. Matter of fact, how does that person live in their life?
Exactly.
Let me see how they, like, you know what I mean?
What does it mean to have this? Yeah.
You're a scientist of blah, 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 but you
Right.
live in a one-bedroom apartment. I don't give a
Right.
fuck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Maybe I don't want that life.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't want that life.
Yeah.
But then it's just, I don't know. But
you know what's really interesting about that, though? Actually, and I don't mean to cut you off, but it does kind of spur the thought in me that, like, I went to a vocational high school. Like, I went to school for a writing program. Like, I always knew. If you go back to my fucking elementary school yearbook, it says Derek Hall, writer. It says that's what I wanted to be for as long as I can remember.
That's what's up.
Right? Everybody else is like baseball player, astronaut, these great things. I wanted to write. I always knew what I wanted to do. And as I grew up, I realized that that's unique. Most people don't, to your point, right? And so, but I went to a high school that had a writing program. There weren't a lot, but I found a good one in Flushing, in Queens, and I went to that one. Made friends for life there. Shout out John Bow.
shout out John Bound.
Yeah, you
Oh,
go,
my
you
girl
know.
went to John Bound.
Great school. She's awesome, right? But they had a writing program, and I really met great people, and I really enjoyed it, learned a lot about the craft of writing, right? My daughter right now goes to Frank Sinatra.
Oh, that's a great
She's
school.
a dancer, exactly.
It's a great school.
She wants to dance. And they had, somebody
You have to
come in.
be accepted.
You have to be accepted, yeah.
You have to be accepted.
All these
It's not-
programs.
that's not, like,
yeah,
like,
exactly. So I'm very proud.
Yes.
Yeah, she could have
Hell
gone to
yeah.
Bronx Science or...
Wow.
and
She could have
went-
gone to Bronx Science too.
Yeah.
She's smart as well. It's
Yes.
not just like
Exactly.
talented.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then, like, even in my school, right, not everybody wanted to be a writer.
Fucking
in her program,
shit.
yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
Sorry, struggling, yeah.
Just give me a second.
No worries.
This is fucking pissing me off.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
rough.
annoying. You're mind
You
if
gotta
I
have
keep
the
that
fuego.
part?
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I'm gonna keep that part.
Yeah, you should. You absolutely should. You know, it's real. It's very real. Everyone's been through that.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
You gotta get a new lighter.
Yeah.
Honestly, these
Much
are the
better.
best.
Yeah. That's the
Yes.
good shit right there. The cheap stuff, $1, that's what you gotta get.
You know what I'm talking
me that.
about? Yeah.
Yes. But what I was saying was, so like my daughter recently, they had somebody come to the school and ask them what they want to be. Most of them didn't want to be dancers. She's in the dance program. Most of them want to be like a nurse or some other thing. And that's fascinating. So like they want to go there, they want to have that experience, which is great, but they don't really plan on pursuing it.
So
yeah, there's
kind of goes
definitely
back
room for
to
that.
your question in terms of why do people commit to certain things? And
Right,
don't?
yeah, exactly. So you're in this program right now, you're choosing to work all this, and you don't want to pursue it? I would, I wanted to write. I was like, this is what I need to do to write. I need to get better. I need to learn more. I need to read more. And that was the path I took. But, and I respect that everybody that wants to do it.
Yeah.
But it's really, really interesting to choose a path that you don't really plan on seeing to the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about the skits that we were talking about when we were on the walk in terms of it was like Spy for Hire.
Yeah.
It's cool,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That was interesting.
So it was a series I wrote. It's called the Private Op. So the Private Operative. And so it was I wanted to create something that was original. And so I liked like hard-boiled detective fiction. Like, when you think of like those old school detective movies that were in black and white, the guy's got the trench coat and the hat, and people are always getting shot and punched in the face and stuff like that, right? I enjoy that fiction. I got introduced to that in high school. I took a class on it. And I really liked it. And one of the things that was kind of central to the genre, that's another thing, people don't always understand genres in storytelling, right? Like a Western doesn't just mean it takes place in the West. There are certain aspects to the story that are always there. Certain ways a story is told, right? And so when it comes to, hard-boiled detective fiction, there's a certain way that goes. Usually it's in a city, a specific place. Like New York or LA. And I was like, I love that guy. I love those scenarios. Can we do it somewhere else? I'd love it if that guy could go to other countries. So I was like, how do I make that happen? And I was like, okay, well, what if it was like a spy for hire who had this kind of persona? So I could take him to different places, but it's always like a job or a mission or something like that. And so it then had to kind of take on the spy thriller aspect, which is a whole other genre. So to marry the two was kind of fun. And make it something that was unique and a character who is at point spy and a detective and also kind of a modern person.
Where can people find these?
Privateop.com. Theprivateop.com. Yeah.
And so have you ever tried to make any of these into like a visual?
Well, yeah, I did actually. So like I made a comic book. I paid an artist, designed a comic book, and I went to Comic-Con because I'm a geek. I go to Comic-Con every year.
Yeah. How's that?
I love it.
I've never been to Comic-Con.
Absolutely. I go every year. Yeah. My daughter's been going since she was 3, so I keep it in the generations. Yeah. She's a little cosplayer and everything like that. So,
they love you. You must be a gold member.
Yeah, exactly. I get my, I used to get in for free. Because I was writing, I could show that I had done work, right?
Wow.
And so I was able to get, advanced tickets and not free, but super cheap.
Okay.
So I don't get that anymore, but
Are these comics still available, by the way?
I'll give you one.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Hell yeah.
I already gave some to some people. I still have plenty.
Yeah.
I did it on my own, right? I went and I found an artist in India, so we did the work over the internet.
Wow.
And everything. He got me the pages, and then
talk to me about cost.
I don't even remember how much I paid for it because he was an amateur artist, and so he just wanted to showcase his work. I had to pay him, but I honestly it was years ago at this point. And I've paid professional artists to do stuff too. So I had, but one of my favorite artists, it was one of my greatest achievements in my life is I was able to reach out, contact literally my favorite artist at the time, and I paid him to do some character designs for me for a project that I'm adapting now into something new.
How does that conversation go?
It's fascinating because in that case, the guy's kind of reclusive. Like him and his wife live in like a mobile home in the desert.
Whoa.
He's like off the grid. So he's not your traditional comic book guy. He just happens to be super talented and kind of wandered into the industry. And so he was kind of out at the time. He had just, the company he'd worked for just got sold to another company and he didn't know if he was going to stay or whatever. So he was just around. I was following him. He had a website and all that. And I followed up with him, and I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, would you do some design work? If I sent you these descriptions, could you come up with some character designs? He's like, sure. I feel like I paid probably $200 each for one drawing each person. I was like 6 characters.
Wow.
Yeah. So I sent him the designs. I sent him the layouts, breakdowns of the characters, what the whole story was. And he sent me this amazing artwork that looked exactly like what I wanted, but better.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I like collaboration. Because if the person understands what you're asking for and they can deliver it, whether he liked it or gave a shit about it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's like, all right, give me my check. Here's your stuff.
Well, I feel like I feel like, the work speaks for itself.
Exactly.
They do care.
That's what I'm saying. So I treasure those. I'll show you those later as well. But when it came time to do my own comic, I had, there's a website where you can find artists where they just put up their work. And you can reach out to them. It's called DeviantArt. And I've always loved art. My twin brother's an artist. So I've always been around.
You're a twin brother.
Yeah. So we used to make little comics when we were younger.
Yeah.
So he went to an art high school. I went to a writing high school. He went to an art high school.
Oh, wow.
So his friends were ridiculously talented.
Wow.
Also. So I've always kind of been around talent.
Identical?
Identical. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's 22 minutes older than me.
22 minutes?
Yeah.
He rubs it in, right?
Every time.
It's like, listen.
He calls me little
bro?
brother. Yeah,
little
exactly.
Bro. Like,
It's
little
always,
bro.
there's always that. 22 minutes,
Hold it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, is that thing real though? Like, do you know what I mean?
Right,
Is there some telepathic shit?
I don't think it's actually telepathic, but it just comes from the fact that, because when you're identical twins, that's like one egg that's split in two.
Okay.
So that's one thing that kind of blows our mind is like, well, if we were one person, would it be you or would it be me? Would that person have been you or would that person? And it obviously wouldn't have been either one of us. It'd been a different person, right? But so there are certain things that go with that, right? We have the same genes, right? We also have the same experiences growing up. So of course we think the same, So my brother and I, we either completely agree or completely disagree, So there's something that goes with that. You're gonna, you've had all the same experiences. So something that's interesting to him, probably interesting to me too. So I think that's kind of where you see it. But in psychology, they do a lot of twin studies. Okay. And in twin studies, they do a lot of things where they raise twins in different locations that they don't know that they have a twin.
What the fuck? They do this
It's
to
fucked
people?
up, actually. It's really fucked up. But it's a way to understand the mind, right? Because if you take two people who don't know they're twins, raise them up with different environments.
They did this on purpose? Like, they paid the parents to be like, yo, like, we're splitting these motherfuckers up.
I think they do it with orphans. I think they do it with orphans, yeah. But there's lots of twin studies. And so what they'll do is they'll study them, they check in with them and all that, and then they tell them, oh, by the way, you're a twin. And you're going to go meet your brother. You're going to go meet your sister. And when they go meet each other, they often are wearing similar clothes. They often have had similar life instances. They're married to someone similar to the other people. So they have actually had similar life patterns, no matter how different they are.
Wow.
So there's just certain things because genetically, it comes from the same place. Wow. So it isn't something that's, I don't want to say it's not special. That sounds wrong, but it's not a connection. It's just the same mindset. The craziest thing that ever happened was, this is the story that because inevitably people ask that. The craziest question anybody ever asked us one time was, well, when you wake up in the morning, how do you know you're you and not your brother? And I'm like, come on, man. We just look alike. You know what I'm saying?
That seems kind of like a stupid question.
It's crazy, but that person was mind-boggled. Like people.
There has to be some little differences, though, right?
We're very different people. Yeah.
No, physical differences.
It depends, right? Because I've had other twins say, "Man, y'all look a lot alike."
That's crazy.
We know the differences.
When you were younger, did you ever fuck with people, change clothes or take each other's classes?
April Fool's Day, we switched schools. You went to an art high school, I went to a writing high school.
For real?
Yeah. So I went to his school. No one knew? We each had one person who we could tell who had to get us through the day.
Oh shit! Yeah. That's fucking dope.
It was fun.
Yo, that type of shit, yes.
Yes.
I'm fucking glad that this conversation fucking happened because I would, if I had a twin, I'm doing that.
Exactly.
I'm doing that. Yeah. At least way more than once.
Yeah.
Yo, what?
And my brother leans into it, right? So we went to different colleges. So if I go visit him, he'd make sure he wouldn't be there. At the time, he said he was going to be there, but then wouldn't tell anybody that I was going to be there, purposely so people roll up on me expecting him.
Right.
You know, he just loved that idea.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Because,
Yeah.
like, I mean, like, not many people get to even do that. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude,
Like,
that's
when
awesome,
people
man.
come up on you in the street thinking
Yeah.
you're somebody that you're not,
Wow.
you know.
So your brother has kids too?
Yeah.
Oh, all right,
Yeah, he's
cool.
got 2 girls. His youngest daughter's the same age as my oldest, so they're very close.
Okay, and you have a girl and a boy?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And the boy's the youngest?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's gonna grow up with some perspective as well.
Yeah, he acts a lot like his uncle.
Oh,
So
yeah?
yeah, that's the kind of funny thing to see
That's
that.
funny.
So like my brother's
How's
oldest
family
daughter,
dinners like?
very unique. You know,
sorry,
'cause-
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all right.
You're
My brother's oldest daughter, I'm like, she's my child. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she's more like me than she is like him. You know, and that's what that stuff I find interesting. My son is more like him than he is like me.
I mean, you don't get to pick it.
You don't, yeah, exactly, because that gene is there.
Yeah.
It's just stronger in him than it is in me. So he's got access to it. My son and I don't.
But yeah, talk to me. How are the family dinners like?
Well, he doesn't live nearby, so we don't get to have
Okay.
too many dinners. That's one of the things that sucks. But when we do get to see each other, it's
It's
great.
lit. It's
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah,
yeah.
everyone's having a good time.
It's
Getting
really good.
drinks.
Yeah, we take pictures.
Oh,
we do.
man.
Yeah, we
Yeah, you
we
gotta
enjoy
take
it.
the
Yeah,
pictures.
exactly.
The
Yeah.
pictures
People
is
love it.
moments of time that will last forever.
Yeah, and when
within
I
the
was young, I
family.
didn't believe in that, and then as I
Really?
got older, now I don't take pictures all the time, but
Okay.
I understand the value, just like you said.
Nah, I love
Capturing
pictures.
something
Yeah, it's
is
the
very
moment.
important.
It's
Yeah.
that moment.
Exactly.
It's never gonna happen again.
Right.
It's never,
Because like, I would
it's
tell
not,
myself.
I'm not saying to OD with it,
But
like
no,
every
like,
fucking
what some people
moment.
do,
It's like,
right,
all
yeah.
right, not every moment.
But you can capture things. It is important to capture. I agree with that completely. But yeah, I used to be like, oh, you'll remember. You're fucking not gonna remember. You know, there's too much.
You're not.
There's too much stuff. So
You're
that
gonna-
photo.
it's gonna be foggy.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be
So
like,
that photo
oh.
is real. That photo
Yeah.
is that moment. But yeah, no, it's great. So like my niece is gonna be here for spring break soon, so I'm happy to see her. And my brother's gonna come down to visit in a couple months, so we'll get to
Nice.
see each other again. But yeah, so you would ask about like the freaky stuff. Well, there's only one time where that kind of really happened, where like this when we were in high school, and we lived in a house, and he was on the second floor and I was on the first floor, and we would just happen to be passing each other on the steps, and we were singing the same song and we're at the same part.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so stuff like that
Oh,
can happen.
shit.
But yeah,
Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah. What song was it?
it was a DMX song. I don't remember.
DMX.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
shit.
so,
Oh yeah. That's what's up.
It was good, yeah. And we would say we don't look alike.
Mm.
But then one time, like I was in the store and I saw my own reflection in the store and I thought it was him. I was in the store, we were in the store together, and I looked at my reflection, I was like, I did it. Oh. So I guess we do look more alike than we think, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all right. So you were saying how, your son is like your uncle. I mean,
his
so
uncle,
not like
yeah.
his uncle. Sorry.
Yeah,
Your son is like his uncle. So there's certain traits that carry through.
Yeah.
So would you
absolutely.
say that there like generational pain is real, and there is a certain thing that gets carried on to each person?
Sure. Yeah.
And what is that? Is it?
It's behavioral. I think generational pain is the behaviors that you carry on based on the pain that was passed down to you, right? Because I don't, and that's how I think it makes sense, right? Like, because I don't necessarily believe in like the genetic memory thing, not necessarily. But again, like if you're broken in a certain way, that's all you know to pass on, right? You may not even know that's a broken thing. So, there are things that you may choose to carry on. There's genetics that you're going to pass on that are just the way you do things. But then there's also going to be the things that the way you think, right? Because children learn from us. We teach them in everything we do because they're watching. Like my son looks at me, even when he was younger, he's like, okay, well, I got to pay attention to you because you're going to show me how to be. Right? You're the bigger version. So they're just taking it all in. Okay. Well, this is how you act when you do certain things. Right. And so like, I'm a very kind of even keel person. I don't get angry very much. But like one thing that I noticed about my daughter early on was that her anger looked like my rage. Like if I'm angry and you see it, is I'm super angry.
Yeah.
But that's how she portrays her anger. So like what I'm experiencing is up here. And what she's experiencing is down here, but it looks the same because she learned the behavior from me,
I understand
So that messed me up, when I realized that.
How do you, if any way, tackle that?
Well, it makes you pay more attention, right? You realize, ooh, I've got to do better, So the way that you tackle it is you understand that as a parent, you're a role model. Your job is to make it so that your children have a better life experience in any way you can control than you did. You know, that's, for me, is my goal, right? Like, you've got to be more understanding. You've got to be loving life more. You've got to be smarter. You've got to be more talented because you have that opportunity, right? You know, like I remember, you know, we grew up poor, you know, but my mother one time asked us, "Do you guys want to learn instruments? I'll find a way. You tell me you want to learn the violin, I'll find a way to get you a violin and lessons and stuff." And I was like, nah, you know, and I regret that to this day, you know, like turning down the opportunity to learn something because I love the violin, you know, and I did then too. I just was lazy, just didn't feel like learning it. But yeah, but kids don't get the choice. Now it's like, you're going to learn this.
You say lazy, but it's also like, maybe it's not just what you were into, you know, like your path is weird, right? Like what you end up becoming interested in is another thing that I feel like, is it your choice? It is your choice.
Yeah.
It is your choice, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Is it your choice?
Right, yeah, it's true though, right? Because again, your genes, right?
Right.
That's the whole, like in psychology, it's the nature versus nurture. Like how much of what we know, and the funny thing is it's always positioned as more. Well, why does it matter, right? Because you got your genes. You got whatever genes are stronger in you, and then you got your experiences. It's both, one way or another. It doesn't really matter if one is more than the other. It's going to be both anyway. So, but yeah, you're right. Certain decisions are made for you because of your genes. You know, if you're predisposed to being angry, you're going to be angry.
Right.
Not because you want to be angry, because you're going to be angry, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's already predetermined.
Yo, what are like the first few writings that gravitated to other people that you created?
My brother and I created a comic strip in elementary school.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so people appreciated that. We used to sell them and stuff like that, you know. So that was kind of the first thing, just being creative. And that was like the first creative thing I did.
What was the plots in the comic?
It was about a kid who was like us, little black kid with a flat top, you know, and it was just, you know, his daily life in school, you know, because like we loved like Calvin and Hobbes and Charlie Brown and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And so we wanted to create kind of something like that.
Oh, so you kept it light.
It was like a comic strip. Yeah. So it was
but
just
I mean by light, I mean like you kept it fun, you kept it like clean. There was
yes.
Like,
yeah, no, this is elementary school.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was butt jokes probably more than anything else.
Butt jokes.
Yeah. He played basketball. We didn't play basketball, but he did because he was a character. He wasn't us, but he just looked like us. You know?
I see.
Yeah.
And what are some things that you're working on now?
So right now, because I need to get back into writing, because like one of the things that I haven't written literally in years, because I lost, I had my hard drive crashed.
Oh, damn.
And I was literally like almost finished with the story.
Right.
Like literally like almost done. Just like write another page or two and I'm finished.
Shit.
And I was like, this is the best one I've written. This is because I felt like they were getting better. You get more comfortable in your writing. They were short stories, so it's not a lot. But I felt like that one had come out really well.
Wow.
And I was, I had notes and everything for the next story, next couple of stories, because I always had like research and stuff like that. Hard drive crash, lost all of it. And I've had writer's block since then.
I feel that.
I just, because like literally I'd be like, okay, do another story. Because like at first I was like, you can't rewrite it, but you can do something with what you remember of it.
Right.
And then, but I'd be like, it was just so, can't get past that mental block.
Shit.
So I tried to do other things, but then I was like, I don't have the notes and I didn't have time as much at that point. So I just wasn't able to. But now, as I said before, I was developing a new story. Like I took, I got really into like the AI art. The idea that you could tell this AI something and it'll give you artwork.
Are you getting that ChatGPT? It's like the 4.0?
Not the ChatGPT, because this is the ones that came after that are specifically for art. Because like with ChatGPT, you have to groom it and teach it what it is and all that. Whereas there's other ones that you can just download the app and you give it a prompt and it gives you an image.
You have that?
I do. Yeah, I have like several of them.
That's dope as
I got a bunch
fuck.
of stuff. And so that was the thing, right? Like I was like, what if I described this guy who was the main character of this other story that I loved, that I had built, I'd written 3 stories on. It's like, what if I describe him? What's it going to look like? And it drew the guy. It looked very similar, but then he had like these little dragon wings like sticking out of its head for no reason. Because like I said, it had, because it's a fantasy story.
Okay.
So the guy has kind of like blue outfit with a dragon on it because he's like a knight.
Okay.
And so I guess, and I said he had a red dragon on his chest. I guess so. The red dragon prompt, and just put these kind of like little dragon wings in the side of his head.
But maybe you have to just say it differently.
But that, well, yeah, but that inspired me. I was
so
like,
fucking
this looks like
interesting.
something totally different.
Oh,
what would
I
this
see
be?
what-
You know.
I see what
So
you're
I
saying.
really created something whole new
Oh, shit.
from that because I was like, well, and because they also like I love manga and anime and stuff like that.
Oh,
And it
what is
looked
this
like an
AI
anime.
shit that you use?
There's a couple of them. Lenza is one of them, and there's another one. I'll show you the apps.
Okay.
And I'll even show you the stuff that it.
No, I'm also just asking
Lenza,
because for,
yeah.
for the
Lenza.
audience.
Check out
you know
Lenza.
what I mean? Like,
And I forget the other one right now, but Lenza
Yeah.
is the one I think I use the most. Because once I got that one, then I was like, I just started giving it prompts. And whatever I liked, I added and made a character around. And I just kind of rebuilt this world that I'd already created, and now I'm making it something else.
That's amazing.
Whole new mythology, whole new concept. Characters are different, same names, but different characters. You know, but conceptually similar.
They could do different things.
Exactly. And so I've really completely redone the story, and I've built the structure for that. I want to write that story.
Wow.
So that's the next thing I want to do.
I'm assuming there's a dragon element in this story.
Yes. Yeah. So it's so the story is called Bastard Dragon.
Bastard dragon.
So the idea is the main character is
a bastard?
the son of a dragon.
Oh,
Yeah.
alright.
And dragons are feared and hated, and so because he's half dragon, he's feared and hated. So he's very much a loner type character.
Dope.
He's got a dark personality, but
Okay.
he's very heroic at the same time,
Alright.
if he needs to be, right? So it turns out he finds out he's got a sister,
Okay.
and she's in trouble, so he has to go find her and save her.
Oh wow.
So that was an element from the original story, but they weren't brother and sister in the original story. They were just characters that were like traveling together.
Wow.
Now, so I've built this whole new world around that concept, but I kept the other characters in there.
And what's cool about this is that the way that you speak, and I could see it, and it could also be illustrated in a movie type of thing.
It
You know
could.
what I
It could
mean?
be like
it's-
the way I see it. It would probably be like an animated movie because that's what it is to me. It looks like an anime, which nowadays you can do that, right? That's one thing. When I was in high school, that's what I wanted to do. Like I want to be the guy. Like I want to create cartoons for adults. Why don't we enjoy that here?
Right.
You know, the way they do in Japan and other countries. Adults watch cartoons and it's not a problem.
That's true.
And here, it's like adults cartoons are for kids. We have more adults cartoons now, but you know, in 1998 we didn't. You know, so like I really wanted that to be a thing. I wanted us to embrace animated films the way other countries do. And so now we're in a world where that happens. Much less, more so, but still not a lot.
I
So
feel
it
like
could
a
be that.
lot of I feel like a lot of young people, especially
A lot
I
more
feel
people
like
grew up in
I feel
anime?
like honestly, my age group and younger really
Anime is
loves
very big,
anime.
yeah, exactly,
It's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Especially I guess Comic-Con too, right?
Comic-Con is enormous. Yeah.
Like and they always have anime.
There's an anime con. It's like the first New York Comic Con was New York Comic Con and Anime Con together.
Oh, okay.
But New York Comic Con was much bigger than Anime Con. So eventually they didn't do Anime Con. Now it's its own thing. And
It's
I'm
too
happy
big.
for that. Yeah, exactly. And so they got it right, and they get to own their own space. And so it's cool. It's really cool.
So you like the illustrations of like the Asian, right? Because
Well, that's what
where
it was.
stems from,
That's
right?
what it was, right? So like
Yeah.
for me, like, and again, that was the time when it really became popular in the U.S., right? I was in high school in the '90s, so like me and my friends, we'd go home after school and just watch anime.
Where were you? Where were you? What school? Like in the 90s?
That was in John Bound.
in John Bound.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was there
okay,
from
okay.
'95 to '98.
Oh wow, 95. I was born 95.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bro, I have
funny.
like this is a moment in time too. There's gonna be
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the same conversation with someone else. And they're gonna say some shit. I was like, damn, I was born
Exactly
that
right.
day.
Yeah, But that's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah.
I think that's actually kind
Yeah,
of awesome.
it
you
is
know?
cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're so healthy and you're good, man. You look
Yeah,
younger
yeah.
than what you are. You know what
I'll
I'm
take
saying?
that
Like,
all day,
exactly.
yeah.
So, what are like? Where do you want to take your writing?
I always
What would be
wanted
the
to create
dream?
some- Yeah, just like I said, that's kind of still the dream, right? Like now, I don't have to be on the forefront of it, but like I'm the same guy. Like I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender in real time. I was a grown ass man when that cartoon came out, But I'm tuning into Nickelodeon every week to watch that because it was really fucking
Yeah,
good.
it was good. It was
It
good.
really good.
The content.
Yeah, exactly. So like Boondocks,
storyline.
right? Yeah, Boondocks was a great cartoon
Boondocks
for
was great.
adults.
Yeah.
Made in Korea,
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, but so that just happened to be where they went because he wanted that anime style, right? And so there have been lots of things that have come out that have been quite good. So like honestly, yeah, if Bastard Dragon even if I wrote it as a story and it became developed into something animated, I think that would probably be better because there's a different feel to anime, right? Like, like that's why I don't understand people always want to do live action versions of an anime. Why? You got the thing already, like we don't need to see people doing it,
right?
So like I don't have that idea that, oh, it's just animated, you can make a very quality product.
Yeah.
Like Boondocks, I don't know that works out really well if you did it in person, right? You're going to have kids talking like that. I love Boondocks, right?
Yeah.
But you just can't do it. And the cartoon is fine.
Yeah.
So like I appreciate the medium for what it is, right? So, and plus it's for fantasy stories, right? You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't
your
really
creative
matter.
space.
Exactly. It's very, very creative, open world visuals. Video games are the same way, right? Like you can do whatever you want. It'll make a good role-playing game too.
I also feel like it makes things very honest sometimes. Because like the storylines in reality shows or shows that we're into, whether it be animated or not.
Right.
The fact that people have these creative spaces to do what they want.
Yeah.
You get to see people, these actors or these characters in these roles that like they say and do things that maybe people in regular society don't say and do.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just like it makes it more entertaining within that.
And that's what's good about where we are right now is because you have all these different perspectives in studios like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu. All these people, not only do they show content, they make the content.
It's true.
So more than ever, there's creative people working, right? With more movies than ever been made, more TV shows than have ever been made. So there's so much content out there now, so many more avenues, right? I just watched Mr. and Miss Smith. Good show, really good show. The characters, I'm not gonna say how it ends, but
it's called probably Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's with Donald Glover, who is ridiculously talented. I can't say that. I love Donald Glover, and I hate that because he's so talented. I love him. But he's just so talented, right? And he's great in the show. He created the show, co-creator, and the show is really good. And it's one of those things where it's not going to be 10 seasons long, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They told their story, and that's it.
Yeah, sometimes it's good that way too.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't need to drag out.
You don't have to watch it for
it's
like
not
half your
Law
life.
and Order.
Exactly. Like, that shit is still on TV. The Simpsons is still on TV.
Yeah, but The Simpsons have like some crazy accuracy to shit, right? How do you feel about The Simpsons?
I love The Simpsons. Yeah, The Simpsons is like my age group.
Are you into any conspiracies behind The Simpsons shit?
No, not with The Simpsons because the stuff that they've been accurate on is scary. It really is.
Right.
But it also makes sense for a show that has that kind of longevity, right? To be on TV that long, you must be doing something right. You must be tuned into something. Yeah. Right?
But what are they tuned into?
The accuracy I don't get. There's no explanation for it. There really isn't. Like it's hard to imagine. But the thing is, all right, for me, if there is a conspiracy, why is The Simpsons the conduit? Like that's the part I don't get. Why it would be The Simpsons? But it's crazy.
I think it's the funniest imitation to reality before we get to see it.
Right. Yeah. It is. Because The Simpsons, when it was at its best, was mind-blowingly good. It was hysterical and poignant. You watched that episode, and you felt like you were smarter, and you laughed at it also. But you felt it was a window into our society, like because when it was really good, shit that was happening in life at that time was in the fucking episode. It was very timely when it was good. When it was at its best, it was very timely. So they spoke on things in real time, almost. Right? It felt like it, at least. And so I think that's got to have something to do with it as well. Their insistence on being topical. Their insistence on paying attention. If anything, it would be that. But yeah.
What type of foresight do you feel is needed to capture that reality in a cartoon?
I don't know if it's foresight. I don't know. I mean, because like, with something like The Simpsons, obviously, like they don't seem like they represent any real people in any way, right? There's nobody like Homer or Bart,
Right.
Like one of the best things they ever did The Simpsons was there was an episode where Homer thought the world was going to end. So he was like, get Bart out of the house before God comes. Just the idea that Bart is so evil, he didn't want to be associated with him when the world ended. It's like, there's nobody like Bart, right? So their characters are just next level. But so I don't think it's necessarily foresight, but it's like if you take the world as it is and you fit it into their world, things become ludicrous. And they're probably ludicrous in our world too, but you can show it as ludicrous in their world because you know their world is extreme.
Yeah.
Their world, their caricatures, people represent more than just who they are and all that. So I think that's their goal in The Simpsons is to mirror society in that way.
And then they just happen to be accurate.
Yeah,
on
a
shit for
lot.
finding-
Yeah. Plus, when you've been on TV that long, there's going to be multiple instances. Like, I really feel like sometimes they're just doing stuff and it just,
Happens to land.
yeah.
Nah.
Because, like, no.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I want to go with it,
Yeah,
but I can't.
right. It's a lot.
No.
I've seen, because, like, obviously I've watched it for a long. I haven't watched it in a while now,
Yeah.
but the fact that it's still on and still going, I drop in and
I'm
watch
be honest,
it.
I got looped in a YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then
yeah.
I saw it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And then like they show the time, and it's just like, what? That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
it is crazy. I admit it. I have no answer for it. I really don't. I got no answer for it. But it's fascinating. It absolutely is.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like in life that you wanna jump into creatively?
Not necessarily. A girl said she wants to start a t-shirt business. So,
T-shirt business?
yeah, just making t-shirts.
Dope.
It's kind of cool. Yeah,
You
that'd
could
be
use
interesting.
you could use your
Designs and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because plus that it just informs I could create my own merch. You know,
That's
so
a fact.
yes, nowadays you
Yeah.
you have to exist in all
Yeah,
these different
versatile.
places. Yeah, exactly.
Versatility.
So, but so I don't know if we'll actually do that. But like, I don't know. It really seems
What do you
like
mean you don't know why? Why? You have the tools.
yeah, because we looked at printers and we can we
Yeah.
got to figure out how we go about it. But yeah, we actually want to do it.
That's amazing.
Ourselves.
Yeah. What?
yeah.
Yo, what? Bro, do that. Like, what?
Right, yeah,
if my girl wanted to fucking do some shit like that with
Right.
me, I'll be
They
hyped
can have
as
it.
shit,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah. What?
I like the idea.
What?
I do like the idea.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's fucking fire. Yo, like, it, you know, they say don't make a business with like
Someone you
your,
love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like at the same time, are they really?
You're right. Yeah,
fucking right?
exactly. You're
'Cause
right, yeah.
I don't know, bro. I've seen it work out.
Exactly,
I've seen
right.
it work out great.
Exactly.
Like I had someone on the podcast.
If you're on the same page, it works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to know how to navigate it. But it's not one of those things where it's automatically a bad idea. I don't agree with
Nah,
that.
definitely
is
not.
a way. Yeah.
And women are just so like, you know, they focus and like, you know, they see things differently.
Absolutely.
So they're able to, I don't know, I feel like make the product better.
A little bit more intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with
They
that. I definitely agree with that.
They're just better.
Yeah. I agree
Women are just
wholehearedly.
better,
yeah.
honestly. And
Better
we're
is
just-
the word. Better is
Yeah,
the word.
we're just catching up.
stronger. We're just stronger.
That's
But
some
yeah,
funny shit,
yeah.
man. But yo, where? No, not before that.
Yeah.
Is there any question you have for me?
I know you said you love podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was there a catalyst for you to start your own, or you just knew there's going to be a point where I'm doing my own? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it always there, or you just had to did you have to get here?
It's about money.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always about money.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
fair.
like,
yeah. It's capitalist society.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Right.
And then I had a little bit.
All right.
And then I was like, yo, let me do this shit.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, to be
okay.
honest with
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
And it was...
If you're gonna do it, do it right.
And it was a situation too, you know,
Yeah.
like I moved around a lot, you know, trying to
Right.
figure out my situation.
Yeah.
There's always something that had happened. There's always something that did happen. Even while having this podcast, there's been so many things that's happened
Of course,
in my life.
you're living.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's just like, but it becomes like, there was somebody that talked to me about how the brain is from left and right.
Yeah,
so
the two hemispheres, yeah.
the left side is what's learning the new things. And,
Right.
and the right side is what is you already know.
Exactly,
So you
yeah.
don't necessarily have to think about even doing it. It's like
Right.
you're on autopilot with it. So it's
well,
like
yeah.
brushing your
Well, that's why they
teeth
say
or,
left-handed people are more creative. Right? I think it's the other way. So the right hemisphere is creativity, and so I'm left-handed, right? So my brother's right-handed. They call us mirror twins when that happens.
Oh wow,
right?
that's interesting.
And so in that aspect, we're going to be different just because of the hemispheres of our brain, right? But yeah, like the creative side of your brain is that one particular hemisphere. So just what hand you use represents a kind of a way you're expected to be. But yeah, so if you're more right hemisphere dominant, you're going to be more creative. You know.
When in the explanation that he was explaining though was like, so in the right side of the brain is like all the stuff that you already know how to do.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and
the automatic stuff. Yeah.
And the left side is the new things.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like with the experience of this podcast and the experience of many things in life,
Right.
like it's starting to become on the right side of the brain.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and everything else in life is like I'm still learning new things. I'm still learning new things.
Okay.
You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So this is the norm. This is like the thing that.
And I wouldn't even say that it's always like right in between.
Okay. Right.
Because the norm would be after, which is like editing
Right.
and
Right, yeah,
like all
exactly.
the boring
Yeah,
stuff and
right,
stuff like
yeah.
this. But the conversations
that's awesome, yeah.
are different.
Right, every time.
Because it's
Yeah.
like I'm doing something live with something that I don't
Exactly,
know
yeah.
how it's going to
No
work out with the
idea.
other person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
But it still flows.
Right.
And then the editing and all that other stuff and making reels, that becomes like autopilot.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Even
right.
though it's annoying and tedious.
Well, because it's like motor skills, right? It's just
Yeah.
these things that you do. You go there, cut that, move that. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool, then.
Word. Yo, and is there anything that you would say to your younger self?
Anything else? Yeah. Be more outgoing.
Yeah?
I was always shy. I'm still shy. Like I could go to a party and not talk to anybody.
But be okay with that too.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can tell, man.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't
But
need to talk to everybody.
I don't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love engaging with people. I genuinely do. So like, if you talk to me, I'm down.
Right.
You know, we're gonna have a good conversation if
Right.
you want to talk, right? But I was much more closed off when I was younger.
Okay.
So, and I've always been quiet. That's just my personality. But yeah, I would say be more outgoing.
Okay.
Because I had to train myself to be outgoing. So now people think I'm outgoing, and I'm not at all. I'm still like that shy kid.
No, I feel that. Yeah, I mean, I also think that you gravitate to who you gravitate to, and that's good too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
'cause-
I got a lot of alpha personalities in my life, right? They need a grounding force, and I needed a crazy force in my life. So yeah, that's how it goes.
funny.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you?
Mostly Instagram nowadays. I haven't been on Facebook in God knows how long. So Bastard Dragon is the thing that I'm working on next. I'm probably going to create like an Instagram or a website for that.
You
So
want to shout out your Instagram?
Fahrenheit 151.
Boom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Ago, it's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.